every time I have to cover a rapper's death, despite how much you know them, and yeah, me and him have talked privately, and of course we did an interview when we met, but this rap shit is like kind of a fraternity. And, you know, remove all the selfishness out of there. I think anytime you see or hear about someone die, you think about your own mortality, but it is kind of like it's like a family, whether you fuck with the person or not. Despite, like, you know, there's rappers that I don't get along with, but like they're still part of the family. That might be the family member you see and you want to squabble with at the family cookout, but you know, still in, you know, this community of rappers. And also, even if you're a fan, like, you know, you grew up on these guys, right? You grew up on these guys. You feel like you know them, right? You've probably spent your money going to their concerts, going to support them at clubs, buying their CDs. When you do lose a rapper, for me, that wasn't never the fun. It was always really hard for me to do videos because I feel like I was doing like a eulogy, like doing a vocal obituary of a rapper's life by doing those news stories. So, you know, this is a little bit easier because I get to this kind of like just not just do a script because it becomes a little bit cold. Hey, he was this old when he died. This is how he died. And you get to the end and you be like, hey, make sure you guys go check out some songs of his and keep his legacy alive. This we could get a little bit more into everything. Anyway, just welcome to all you guys. I hope you guys have been good. I've been good. I was really thinking recently. I was like, you know, they say death comes in threes. And I feel like, who did we lose recently? I feel like we lost another rapper not too long ago. We went through like a good like 6 months without hearing about a rapper of any notoriety dying. And then I felt like recently, who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of, Chad? I feel like I'm thinking of a particular rapper. Who is it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Beat King, we lost Beat King, we lost Fat Man Scoop, and we lost Rich Homie Quan. Wow, back to fucking back. I feel like the last 3 weeks, and of course, you know, even though he maybe career-wise he wasn't as accomplished yet, but YBC Duel, right? Also, if we go back more than a month ago, then we get into the Fulio. Yeah, it's tough. The Rich Homie Quan death situation. Yeah, I gotta do. Let me get to. Okay, the Rich Homie Quan situation is always like when I was thinking about it, I was like, he looked healthy to me. Like I remember my interview with him, and he told me some stuff about, you know, some battles with drugs and stuff like that. But like, I've never chalked up Rich Homie Quan as a junkie. I've never chalked him up as, you know, the guy who has mannerisms of a junkie, the guy who's like falling asleep on live, the guy who can't do shows, the guy who's in and out the hospital, the guy who gets pulled over by the cops because he's fell asleep in the car or got mad drugs on him, the guy who's in and out of rehab. Never, ever, you know, put that on him. And the unfortunate part of hip hop is that there's many rappers, and by the way, we should mention Enchanted as well, right? Because I think she also died of an overdose. Many rappers do have a vice, and you know, I can't be a hypocrite, right? Like I drink alcohol. Some of these guys pop pills. Some of these guys smoke, and you could try to be like, oh well, listen, my vice is more safer than your vice. You know what I mean? But you just never know. So like, I try not to shame unless I see somebody just overusing or abusing drugs to the point that it's like visibly affecting them. Like, you know, without saying names, and this is not the time to throw other people who might be indulging in drug use, recreational or whatever. But there are certain rappers who we hear that they do certain drugs that would be considered hard drugs, and they're pretty functional. They go on world tours when they're ready. They drop albums. They're locked in, you know? And it doesn't look like they get to that point, or maybe they don't know how to manage it, but that's still a tricky situation. Anyway, the latest news, and I guess we should just start with this Rich Homie Quan situation, right? The news came down yesterday that Rich Homie Quan was found dead at home. his apparently, as the story goes, his baby mother went to bring the kids to school, run a couple errands. I think he was like sleeping before, so she's just letting him sleep. She comes back, he's still sleeping. She's wondering why he's still sleeping. She kind of goes over. She realizes, and it wasn't one of those like fell asleep and drowned in the bathtub or whatever. Like we've heard that with a couple celebrities. Like it appeared that he was sleeping from what the info we're hearing, because she said he's just covered up in a blanket. And I guess she was a little bit alarmed by how long he was sleeping. Maybe she called his name a couple times. I don't know about that detail, but I'm just speculating. But she went over to him, and then she realized that he didn't have a pulse, right? I'm guessing she probably also realized that he may have not been breathing either, right? Anyway, regardless, she then called authorities, and when they got there, I'm not too sure if he was already dead, but he was quickly pronounced dead. We don't have the details of what life saving measures the paramedics tried to take, and if maybe he regained consciousness at a point, or was he just dead on arrival. We don't know that. Okay, there is a 911 call. I'm thinking about whether I should play it or not. I absolutely did not post it on my Instagram page nor my Twitter page. And I try to be a little bit sensitive about the last moments of somebody's life. There is some educational purposes in it that you could kind of understand what was going on. But, we're not here trying to be heartless and invasive. This is something that people, family members, and eventually his children are going to be exposed to. So not too sure if necessarily I should play it. I know it's been posted. It's on TMZ. It's been posted a bunch of places, but I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I don't think we have to play it, right? Don't play it. Yeah, we don't got to play it. Again, I did listen to it. I think releasing that audio, even by the way, this becomes public. When you use the public services of the ambulance, of medical services, of the police, those communications with the police and the ambulance, those are public record. And I agree with y'all. Putting this out is kind of cold, but legally, all this is public record, right? Now, obviously, these outlets that grab it and be like, yo, this is what it is. Hey, and again, I don't think that's my thought on every 911 call, but when I listened to this, I was pretty saddened. Anyway, I'll read what TMZ printed on their site. It said TMZ obtained a 911 call. Okay, we're not going to play it. From Rich Homie Quan's death. His girlfriend told the dispatcher that the rapper wasn't breathing and didn't have a heartbeat. She revealed that he was unresponsive on a couch in their home when she called 911 and started foaming at the mouth when she tried to move him. Oh, wow, that's traumatic. Yeah, so he died. Now, it's interesting that we already are hearing it's a bad pill, because what usually happens here, the running theory is that he died. He was, I don't know what pill. Again, the drugs I take. I drink. I don't smoke. I don't do pills. So I don't know the side effects of these pills. I don't know what pill. I don't know if Xanax. I don't know if it's fucking. What's the other thing called fentanyl? No, not fentanyl. People don't take fentanyl, right? Perks, whatever. But maybe it was a Xanax or something like that. From what I hear, a lot of these pills are cut with like fentanyl. And fentanyl in very small doses could be very dangerous. Quickly, throughout the industry, and I'm not talking about just fans speculating, that became the word. Yo, yeah, he took a bad pill and overdosed. Again, I'm going to still say that's a rumor because he still has to be examined by the medical examiner, who's going to tell us the official cause of death and is going to go through an official toxicology report to really figure out what's going on. I see now also today, and it's a part of grief, and I'm not going to reject it or accept it. I see fans also saying that Rich Homie Quan was drugged. They believe he was drugged. And I wouldn't go as far to say that, but that's a possibility. Until the medical examiner tells us what was in the system, I'm not going for nothing about bad pill. It could have even been poison. I'm not going to lie. But we got to wait for the medical examiner to tell us exactly what it is. If they're like, yo, it was fentanyl, found in this amount of milligrams or like particles or whatever, and they'll tell you if it's a toxic dose. Yeah, they'll let us know, but the popular theory I see people in the industry adopting is that he overdosed from taking drugs himself, and the drugs supposedly was a bad batch or it was a bad pill. Okay? We're going to have to wait to see, right? Again, the official cause of death could only be determined by the medical examiner, and I actually believe if there isn't if it's not a bad pill, this might get ruled or this might be investigated a little bit more. If it's poison or anything else, then it might possibly get upgraded to like maybe a homicide investigation. But it will be very, very premature. We shouldn't even speculate that at this point. So we got to imagine, hey, it's not like he was around a bunch of niggas and a bunch of strangers or with a hoe in a hotel. He's with his child's mother. His child's mother goes to take the kids to school. It seems like whatever would have happened just based on that story, he was in a comfortable place, and anything, if it was any type of drug that he ingested, he probably did it willingly. Just going off those details. We don't know, but I think that's a decent running theory at this point. We can't confirm either or anyway until the medical examiner speaks, as I said. His family, by the way, it was officially reported by a family friend, and his family then confirmed it. But his family does tell TMZ they're shattered and heartbroken by the sudden death. No cause of death has been reported. They're desperately searching for answers. His real name is DeQuantis Lamar. He was born in Atlanta, came on the scene in 2013 with his instant classic Some Type of Way. Obviously, we know him for his features on YG's My Nigga, and even he had some other favorites that popped off around 2014, 2015. That was his era. Like, if we think about 2014, there's a few rappers that's automatically there. You remember Rich Gang because it was Thugga Thugga Motherfucker and Rich Homie Quan. We all know that, right? That was the era of Fetty Wap. You would get the Shy Glizzies of the world popping up at that time. And I might be maybe a year early, but I think you see the A Boogies as well. That was like, these guys are changing the landscape of music. I will also say that Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug, they helped further and evolve the sound of Atlanta rap. We got to give a lot of credit to the Migos who came before them. Let me say before Rich Homie Quan, pretty much, right? The Migos they kind of burst onto the scene before. And they had like certain type of styles that were very infectious. Rich Homie Quan came with some melodic, like sing-songy but infectious type flow that kind of like worked. And him and Thug, I'm not gonna lie, like shit, I can't even. I'm trying to think of a basketball analogy, to be like, yo, who they were, but they were killing it, absolutely killing it. I'll read what his father said, and we'll get a little bit more into his life and career. His father posted from the Rich Homie Quan management page and said, "Unbearable pain. Lord, please, please, please help me to understand this. To lose my son, my firstborn, my best friend. Lord, please let this be a dream. Y'all pray for me and my family. I feel like I'm crushed into a million pieces." Of course, you got to imagine the hurt and pain his father is going through. And I can't understand comments like that. How you sad and posting to the internet. What? Like, it's as if to say a father could possibly not be sad. Like, no parent wants to bury a son. Of course, like you're crushed, you're broken, right? I send my condolences to his father, obviously. Rich Homie Quan, and mind me a little bit as I try to take you on a journey, contextualize his life, but also highlight and celebrate his importance not only in Atlanta, but also musically along the landscape of just the progression for the youth. Rich Homie Quan, someone that makes a little bit that with news, and we're gonna look at other people reacting. I do have to say, man, when I sat down with Rich Homie Quan last year, was it last year or the year before? What I took away from that was that, bro, he was just criminally underrated, and he got a bad shake when it came to music. I'm not gonna sit here and accuse anybody of being fake, and we are gonna get into some of the reactions by other people in the industry. But Rich Homie Quan was left out there to die, and I rooted for Rich Homie Quan because I like the underdog in every situation, right? If you think about the people I usually champion, they're usually underdogs. They're usually favorites, and then the industry shits on them, and then nobody wants nothing to do with them, and they're still fighting, but they don't got too much to fight with. Those are the people I like. Rich Homie Quan was one of those people. If you think about Rich Homie Quan's career, and everything I'm saying here isn't to make no one look like the bad guy. No one look like an asshole. No one look like it's a conspiracy. It's just the tale of the tape. And if I do get anything incorrect, it's just based on my understanding, and it's out of no maliciousness. So I would love for anybody to correct me if I'm incorrect on any point I made. Rich Homie Quan's career was going straight up. And if you ask me what stopped, it's not a lack of talent. I think he was one of the most talented people. He was one of the biggest hook makers at that time. Like, he sat and told me, it was like, listen, he said, Mamacita, like, I'm the one who started that. Travis took it and, of course, ran with it. And he wasn't mad about it. He was like, that's good. But that was creation. My nigga. That's not YG. That's Rich Homie Quan song that YG did a brilliant job on it, by the way. I'm not saying this to discredit the other people. I'm saying this to tell you how prolific this guy was. So when we get to like the 2017, 2018 era, and we stop hearing about Rich Homie Quan as much, it's not because he's untalented. That's my point I'm trying to make. I wasn't trying to down Thug or Travis or a lot of these guys. What I'm trying to say is that this guy was a really talented motherfucker. He was from the era where that person who was good with them hooks were good with making them songs that would capture all the clubs and everybody near and far. This is the era of Fetty Wap. What was Fetty Wap good at? Baby, won't you come? Those great hooks. Rich Homie Quan was that guy for Atlanta. There were other great Atlanta artists. I'm not saying he's the only one, but he was the guy. We all remember this. What I believe happened to Rich Homie Quan's career is something that is so unfortunate, but out of his control. Rich Homie Quan became a pawn, and I'm not using that word to disrespect him, but his career became a pawn in an ongoing feud between multiple parties in trying to control him as an artist. What happened is, during the Rich Gang era, Birdman started having some influence in Atlanta and wanted to get these two guys underneath Cash Money. Rich Homie Quan, Young Thug. Young Thug was down with it. Rich Homie Quan, not so much. And not really him so much, because he's an artist. But Rich Homie Quan had ties to people, Donovan Thomas, other people, whole thinking it's a game, that made that a little bit hard. Eventually, what happened, a lot of why the split happened with Young Thug, yes, on the surface, you could be like, yeah, well, Rich Homie Quan didn't like Thug calling him Bay and Boo. Of course he didn't like that shit, but that's not really why they split. There were politics. The politics happened that Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan could no longer be a duo and could no longer make the music that we loved for 2-3 straight years when they gave us Rich Gang the Tour, Part 1. So what happens is, being loyal, and remember, Rich Homie Quan, not no bitch or nothing like that, but he got street niggas behind him. They're the guys who been pushing everything he got going on. Birdman comes in, wants to take over the situation. He's getting some resistance. Thug is 10 toes down for Birdman against anybody, including Wayne if it needs to get there. What ends up happening is that out of loyalty, Rich Homie Quan steps back from Thug. He would either have to betray the people he was with or realize that this situation was bigger than him and out of loyalty just step back. That's exactly what he did. Ironically, also at this time, Travis Scott also is in the mix. And I actually thought for a minute, even when you think about Mamacita, right? We know Rich Gang, clearly, Thug and Rich Homie Quan. But I also, Thug started to build a relationship with Travis Scott at that time. Really interesting relationship. And I thought that these three could have been a three-headed monster. Look what Travis is now. Look what Thug obviously became. Obviously, Free Thug, whatever. But I thought if all three men, as artists, remained on the same boat, I would be hard-pressed to think that Rich Homie Quan isn't mentioned in the same breath in 2024 if they all were just at least as Thug. I'm not saying it was going to be Travis. Again, if I start losing some facts as I'm making everything I'm saying, please correct me. And if there's anybody from Atlanta who knows a little bit more, because I feel like I've talked to enough people that I kind of know the ins and outs a bit, please educate me. So Rich Homie Quan falls back. There's now a feud that's happening between Rich Homie Quan's people and Young Thug's people. Rich Homie Quan can't make no music with Thug. Young Thug and his people pretty strong in Atlanta. In every way. Streetwise, they're kind of mixing the two. That's why you see an indictment. Rich Homie Quan falls back. He doesn't go to beef with Thug on record. He's not carrying the beef for the people who not getting along with him. He just falls back. Puts himself in a weird place musically. It seemed to fans like me and you, damn. Obviously, we all used to clown Young Thug for calling him Boo and Bay. But we're like, damn, you fell back from Thug and fell off. No, he fell back because the street niggas behind him is going at it and into it with the street niggas over there. It all culminates to about a year. I don't want to get the years wrong. Birdman makes a quick exit out of Atlanta. And by the way, I think Birdman was smart. Birdman is no dumb nigga. When Atlanta PD starts realizing, check this out, this Birdman nigga's coming here to Atlanta, he's heavily promoting this blood shit in Atlanta. It's where you start seeing them halftime videos. You start seeing a lot of that. See them on the jet with, it's a heavy blood. Once Fulton County announces, they announced three. I don't know if they did a RICO back then, but they announced one arrest. Obviously, the Lil Wayne tour bus shit matters. The Wayne tour bus shit happened a lot. Birdman escaped being indicted with with Roscoe. Actually, Thug and Birdman escaped being indicted by the skin of their teeth. Birdman said, "Peace out, Playboy. I'm gonna catch y'all niggas." Okay? Now he still fucked with Thug. But he no longer were going to play into some of the politics that was happening in Atlanta that most people, us fans, don't know about. But that was all weighing down on Rich Homie Quan's career. Some of his drug use, we'll play some videos. Maybe we'll get him speaking on his own situation. But essentially, that's the tale of the tape. Rich Homie Quan's career was pretty much sacrificed, or his momentum was sacrificed because of loyalty to street dudes who helped put him on. and who were financing him at the time. I think anyone in here would probably say loyalty-wise he made the right move. Maybe not career-wise, because these guys were going to the top. A lot of people would just stick next to the Heat rather than stick next to the street dudes. It is what it is. Young Thug takes a hold on Atlanta. This is now 17 and above, right? 2017 and above. And because of this feud, it makes it impossible for, remember I was talking about media in Atlanta? A lot of Atlanta was viewed as hot as like clubs. Like the clubs dictated what was played, at least at the time. I think they changed up all the rules for like when clubs could open. Like what's played in the nightclub, the strip club. Young Thug got like he's running that shit with an iron fist, which if he's feuding with the people behind Rich Homie Quan, the more Young Thug you hear, the less Rich Homie Quan you hear. So it's almost like Rich Homie Quan just got wiped off the map. Why? Young Thug is going against the people behind Quan, and Young Thug is clearly making hot music, and he's running shit, and they're doing anything on the street. So we hear nothing about Quan for a good while. By the way, it's not ironic that the attempt of Rich Homie Quan to really come back on the mainstream level only happened when Thug gets incarcerated. That's not coincidence. That's not coincidence. When Young Thug was free, again, he's not beefing with Rich Homie Quan, but everything Rich Homie Quan represents is what he's not with. Okay? There's a moment I did an interview with him, Rich Homie Quan, and let me see if I could. I asked him specifically about the Young Thug song. By the way, yeah, he said, Travis Scott. He said Mamacita was my song. This was also an interesting part here where he was this is not even a theory. This is what I heard from real street niggas in Atlanta. Like, I be saying this like a theory. Like, I heard from that. So he didn't really want to say anything, but yeah, we did an interview a year ago. Actually 2 years ago now. Damn, 2 years ago, September 18th, right? By the way, remember, Young Thug is in jail. I remember talking to someone in Atlanta. This person will remain nameless, but they're very important to the Atlanta scene. They told me, they said, yo, watch out. And they're right with everybody they tell me to watch out for. They'll be like, yo, watch out for Honcho. This Honcho dude just pops off crazy. I remember they said, watch out for Rich Homie Quan. The streets is fucking with him again. I said, what? I said, Rich Homie been on for like mad long. We just haven't heard from him. He said, Rich Homie's he's going crazy again in Atlanta. What did that mean? Young Thug got locked up. His music started getting love again from all the places that, because of Thug, stopped fucking with Quan. You could just put two and two together, right? Anyway, it gets to this time. He pops out off the record, and we have this conversation. I don't think he says much, but you'll hear my theory in full, and it's not a theory. That's what I heard from the street niggas in Atlanta. A little bit. So, and I'm going off of a fan, like, I consider myself just a huge fan. Sure, I see everything.
I know that.
So this is, when I'm trying to think about the story of Rich Homie Quan, I said, they got mad momentum.
For sure.
One of the most talented niggas in the game.
Yeah.
When did it start to slow up and why? And I started putting pieces together.
Okay.
So this is my theory. You tell me. Yeah, you tell me if I'm just like
I
a nigga.
You keep 100 with you.
All right, bet.
All right.
When I now come to find out and think about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Number one, you signed to Think It's a Game.
Yes.
You got Lucci as your fucking label mate.
Yeah.
You and Thug was rocking for a while.
Yeah.
That shit, I don't know what happened there. We always wanted to hear the answer. Okay. Never got it.
Okay.
You fell back.
Okay.
Things also got a little weird with Think It's a Game, but that's business shit.
For sure.
And it felt like something was happening, and this is what I'm thinking. Some shit probably was happening, either street shit or whatever. You just didn't want to be a part of it. You fell back, and through that fallback, fans who are just only used to seeing music was like, what the fuck happened? You know what I mean?
Sometimes the best answer is no answer. And that answered out everything you just said.
Right on the money.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I took it as.
Come on.